Hey, everybody, Kevin here with Pursuing Pixels, and welcome back to another edition of Save It for the Cast, and you know the drill by now. This week we've got the full crew in the house once again. We're talking all sorts of video gaming goodies. We'll talk a little Cuphead, little podcast episode coordinating, just kind of in general, a little Tetris Effect. Deus Ex comes up just kind of in general, a bunch of Wii U exclusives, early days of the Xbox 360, a little N64 action, even a little bit of Elden Ring comes up at the very end, like in the stinger. John Randall and I will be digging into all that stuff in just a little bit here, kind of a little scattershot of gaming conversation coming up. I'm going to keep things short and sweet on the intro side on my end here, because most of the stuff that I've been playing is stuff that I want to save for chatting about with the guys. I know that Randall and I both recently picked up new Pokemon Snap, not that it's new anymore, and I know John talked about this one on the podcast a while back, and for whatever reason it just kind of came up. I think I brought it up just saying that I was kind of in the mood to play that game for whatever reason, and then Randall was like, you know what, that sounds good too. So I know that he scooped it up. I've been putting in a decent amount of time into that game, probably more than just about any other game that I've been playing lately, just because it's been the perfect game to fire up a podcast in the background and just, chip away at a handful of levels or zones or whatever and make a little progress. But like I said, I'll table that for a little later. And then the other game I've been playing the most of as well is Donkey Kong Bonanza, which just came out relatively recently. But I know I've seen Randall playing that on his Switch too as well, and I feel like it would be appropriate to kind of save that for a time when we can both dig into that a little bit more as well. I'm about, somewhere between 5 and 10 hours in, probably closer to 5 than 10. And I'm on the fourth world or set of levels, I think, just starting it off. I haven't made any progress on that zone yet. I just got to the new area and was like, okay, this seems like a good stopping point. I'll probably play a little bit more today, being that it's Sunday right before the weekend wraps up here, and get a little more time in before we record our next session, most likely this coming Wednesday. And I'm sure Randall and I will plan on digging into that. But otherwise, I've really just been playing some random Sega Genesis games on the Switch, kind of a couple that I never really have played too much of other than, via this Switch online service, being Contra Hardcore and Castlevania Bloodlines. And I've just been kind of firing those up randomly here and there and making a little progress, more so on Castlevania than on Contra, because Contra is just freaking brutal. I've really been using more often than not the rewind feature, but just really it's just impressive. I kind of forgot how good some of these Sega Genesis games can look. The other game that I've been playing a little bit of as well is Vectorman, and that game in particular just really blew me away with the visuals. The gameplay, not so much, but it was a game that one of my buddies had growing up, and I remember just thinking it was pretty cool. I never even had a Sega Genesis, so it was there were certain games that he had, even the original X-Men game, which is also not a very good game. Probably even worse than Vectorman. Vectorman's just kind of a run and gun, side-scrolling platformer that just has I feel like a lot of Sega games do this, Sonic. I can't think of any other ones. That Ristar is kind of like this a little bit, although Ristar is my favorite of the bunch of any game that kind of does this. But with even Yoshi's Island a little bit, with where the levels just have a ton of verticality and you could just keep going up. There's no real main path, and not that that's a bad thing per se. In Sonic, they usually have a few different paths that lead to different secrets or whatever, and I'm sure that's the case with Vectorman as well. But it just feels I was at one point I kept going up higher and higher and higher on this level, and then eventually I fell down and I just kept falling and falling, and then I got to the bottom and it was oh, this is the end of the stage, and I was just what the heck, this just feels so random almost. If you told me it was procedurally generated, I would believe you. But at the same time, it just looks so cool. It really looks like it could be a Sega Saturn game. It's got even the menu screen. It's kind of a really impressive game. And then Castlevania Bloodlines and Contra Hardcore are, I was going to say, equally impressive. Not quite as equally impressive on the visual side of things, but they're still really, really good looking games. I just kind of always thought of the Genesis, maybe just because it wasn't the system I had, as being the slightly less powerful Super Nintendo. And I know that's not even true necessarily, but especially the music as well, or the sound effects, or the sound chip. I really just kind of always thought of the Genesis as the underpowered, system for whatever reason. Again, probably just because I didn't have one, but playing Contra Hardcore and Castlevania Bloodlines, they're both just really good looking games, really tough. I think I even talked about Castlevania Bloodlines briefly on a different episode, because there's this one scene that I remember. Maybe I was just telling the guys about it early on, like one of the first mini bosses you fight. It's like this giant wolf or something. And then at one point it howls at the moon, and the windows in the background like just all shatter. And the best I can tell, there is no way to dodge like the window particles, the glass, that shatters. Like I've tried rewinding it during that scene to just like, there's got to be like an opening where I'm just missing where I can stand. Maybe I can attack them. But best I can tell, I have not been able to figure out a way to dodge taking damage from that. And then the other stuff that I've been playing, really not even at all. I just fired them up really briefly, but I was like, you know what? It's been a while since I checked up on the PUNKCAKE stuff, and they've released 3 games since the last time that I checked in. One game actually being their first guest release, and that being 10S Forever. And I believe that's a game that I've talked about on the podcast from the developer's name is Ouch, OWCH, or Chloe is their name as well. But they have made just some of the coolest, most stylish games around. I believe I've talked about a handful of their games on the podcast before I got really hooked on their stuff when they included quite a few of their games in some of the Itch.io charity bundles over the years. And 10S, the original game in the series, if you will, is kind of like a bullet hell meets like Pong meets tennis. It's spelt like the number 10 and then the letter S. And then this 10S Forever, it kind of like ditches the kind of pseudo 3D look of the first game, and it's more like a traditional like pixel art style. And basically, it's just like Pong Breakout, but you're like playing tennis, and then you're like kind of fighting the enemies instead of playing tennis against them. And it's just got like a really great sense of like physics. It takes a little getting used to, because sometimes there's like one last enemy, and like in any typical Breakout game, the one last brick that you got to break, and it's just like, okay, I got to get in the perfect position to hit this. But the tennis gives you a little more gameplay, gives you a little more finesse to like, angle the shot a little bit, or do a little bit more than you can with just like a paddle. And then they also released like a 10th anniversary edition of Serpentes. I don't know if I'm saying that right, but it's basically like a snake, a variant of Snake. This was a game that was released by Benjamin, one of the main developers over at PUNKCAKE 10 years ago, I believe, as like a solo game. They just kind of souped it up with some new, I think, graphics and some new updated mechanics and music from Pentadrangle, of course. And then the other game that I played, and it's just got some other twists to the mechanics. It's not just like a straight up Snake, clone. And then the other game is called If Letters Had Pants, Would They Wear Them Like This? And then there's even a longer subtitle after that. But that game is really cool. I played just a little bit of that one. It's kind of like a word search game where there's like, but every time you find a word within the word search, and it just randomly, populates this grid of letters, and then every time you find a word, it kind of digs up the ground beneath it, and then you're kind of like digging for artifacts that you can supply or stock your museum with. I only played a few rounds, and only on the last round that I played did I really start making some progress, because I realized, you can actually like chain letters from one line to the next. If you kind of like highlight a box, it just kind of like reads them like a book. Okay, as soon as anything you have highlighted within this box, like as soon as the top line, if it gets all the way to the right, then it jumps down to the next letter on the next line. So you can get a little more creative, or especially after you've dug up some letters, there's like, okay, here's a gap, and I can just string this to the next letter over there, even though they're not connected. So you can get pretty crafty with it. The music and the visuals are fantastic per usual. And it just seems like a great game to like just sit down and kick back and relax with. Plays entirely with the mouse. And it was just great little surprise to be like, you know what, I haven't checked up on PUNKCAKE in a while, and to see that, oh man, they've released 3 new games, and one of them being a game that I've been following forever, with being 10S Forever, no pun intended there, but I was just so excited to see that, number one, that they've, taken another page out of Sock Pop's book with the guest, developed games, and let alone being a game that I was already looking forward to. So, I still need to play more of all 3 of those games, and honestly, all 3 of these Genesis games that I've been digging into. And then, like I said, Randall and I, and John possibly as well, on the new Pokemon Snap, we'll be digging into some of those other games, Donkey Kong Bonanza as well, next time around, or at least on a future episode. But I think I've done more than enough rambling here. I meant to keep it a little shorter and sweeter this time around. But I'll kick it over to John, Randall, and I for some more video gaming goodies coming up here. And until next week, we'll catch you then, and take care.
talk about this one on the podcast proper, at least not right now, but I fired up the first like few levels of Cuphead.
Nice.
And that one was like, I was expecting to like really start getting my ass handed to me right off the bat, but it actually eases you into the game pretty generously. Like the first few bosses are pretty easy. The first actual like stage I played, which is the first thing I did, it's like a run and gun stage.
Yeah.
That actually tripped me up a little bit. But then after I beat that, I was just mowing down the first like 2-3 bosses, pretty much no problem. But I mean, that game is sweet.
You are a precision platformer and shoot 'em up guy, so like I feel like that's your skill set.
That's true. It's definitely not outside of my wheelhouse. But I still like, I had played that game before and thought I just remember like kind of getting my ass kicked a little bit harder, and I was playing co-op. So, but I think I played with Mikey or whoever it was at Mikey's house. And it was like, he was further into the game, you know, we were just picking up a random level. So I might've been playing, you know, a boss 3/4 into the game or something like that.
Were you playing with me?
I don't think so, but we might've all been there and just been passing the controller around. Like it very well could have been. Yeah, you and I.
Yeah, I don't.
But I feel like I specifically remember because Mikey, I think, gets real excited when he's like likes a game that like I might like, you know, just because I feel like we don't have a ton of crossover. So he'll be like, "Oh man, you got to check this out." But yeah, I'm digging it. I'm glad I got a physical copy.
Nice.
Yeah, because you're playing on Switch, right?
Yeah, and it plays nice, plays real smooth. I can't speak to like how different the loading times and whatnot are, but it definitely plays like butter. As far as the game goes.
Isn't there like a mid-air dash move or something with the enemy bullets? Like I feel like that kind of tripped me up for a little bit, just getting the handle on that mechanic.
There's two things, because there's like an actual like just dash.
Yeah.
And then there's also, like I think they just call it the parry mechanic or something, but you like, there's just certain projectiles and I think maybe even certain enemy attacks, but like the pink ones, you can do like a parry on and you like, I don't know if it like I was going to say refills your ammo, but you don't have ammo in that game. It does something. It doesn't refill your health, but it gives you some kind of extra power or I don't know.
Yeah.
But it is a little tricky. It does like a little like even like freeze frame animation. So it can kind of almost like throw off your timing. And I feel like almost even more so if you were playing co-op, like if it was freezing when you weren't the one doing it, that would be even weirder.
Yes.
Bosses aren't like rhythm locked to the music though, right?
Not that I know of. Like they might be, like maybe because they do like, they have a very like, the way they move around, it like feels like they're dancing almost, you know, but I think it is just like a pattern. It doesn't feel like it's particularly synced to the music, but I could be wrong because the music is a very prominent, you know, it's like very prominent in the game. It just like it stands out, I should say, as like a prominent feature.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. That game rocks. I don't know. What else? So you're going to talk some Yakuza, Randall?
I am. Yakuza.
And then John, you're going to talk Odada. Are you going to talk any Fantasy Life or save that for another update or? Up to you. No, zero pressure.
I could, but don't need to. I could talk about Odada a lot.
Okay. So. Nice. Yeah, I was either the three things I've been playing are, which I'm not going to talk about all three of these, but Grapple Dogs, Cosmic Canines, which I've like almost beaten. And then going back to Lonely Mountains Downhill, and then Tetris Effect, which I don't need to talk about that. I'll maybe just save that. But I got to say, like Tetris Effect to me is like, it almost feels like if you could combine Tetris and Sayonara Wild Hearts. It's like kind of what it reminds me of. It's like just the way it like throws like these songs at you like every. Have you played that much, Randall?
No, I booted it and I'm like, oh, that's cool. And I don't know why I didn't play more because I like Tetris and I like Sayonara Wild Hearts.
It's also got like the medios of like the actions like adding to the soundtrack and like the more complex stuff, like when you're on a tear, like it's adding way more complex stuff to the backing track, and it's just Tetris Effect feels
so
good.
Cool.
I like it.
I think there's even potentially like most of the tracks start out with almost no music or like stages, and it only builds. Is making sound effects like when you're moving the pieces or rotating them or dropping them or whatever, like just only with your controller inputs. But then like So every stage or there's like an area that's made up of a certain number of stages. And then every stage you have to clear 36 lines. And every time you clear 12 lines, it kind of like ramps up to another like kind of mode, and the music will kind of ramp up. Or sometimes it actually kind of ramps down. And it'll like kind of shift gears and change speed.
Yeah.
So it'll like start at speed.
It starts to get intense, and then
regular.
like it lets off once you like
Yeah,
clear the
I
hump.
love that.
Oh, it's
Like,
yeah, it's good, but it's rough. Like again, like
It is.
it's a
It
hard
slaps
game.
you in the face. It slaps you in the face. Like I was just like chilling, like, I just want to vibe out with this game, and all of a sudden it went from like speed 6 to 10 or 11, and it's just like, number one, I didn't even know there was an 11, and number two, this is like fucking boom, 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 boom. It's like, you know, thankfully you can do the Tetris DS like almost infinite rotation, and sneak them in there, but.
Interesting.
Man, it's just so cool the way the music builds and the soundscape builds and then like turns into music. It's an amazing game. Even not in VR, like you can like use the joysticks to like rotate the screen and like camera and stuff, or like the angle and the zoom, and it just even just seeing like the perspective change, it's so cool. It's like a really cool game. Well, I'm overselling it a little bit by like comparing it to Sayonara Wild Hearts, but just the way like it takes you on this like sonic journey, it does remind me of that for sure.
Yeah.
And the way it's like very visually forward with its like presentation.
Trying to see if I have it on
awesome.
Xbox, because I would like to boot that up. It sounds awesome.
It's awesome.
is
It
very
used to be
good.
on Game Pass because that's how I checked it out originally. And then obviously just playing it on PlayStation for now, which, by the way, I did a little research, Randall. PlayStation 5 does not have any kind of quick resume feature like the Xbox does. It has like something that's like semi-similar, but it doesn't have the thing where you can like just keep like, 2, 3, 4 games in the queue and just kind of boot them at will.
I am so
Not that that's a
accustomed
deal breaker,
to that
but
now.
that's nice. Yeah, that's definitely a nice feature. I'm
It's
definitely going to end up
incredible.
with the PS5 and an Xbox, current gen Xbox at some point,
Yeah.
because I keep buying these stupid original Xbox games that I need something to play them on. I just bought a Deus Ex Invisible War. I went to the store the other day, and I went to this store, and it was like I was the only person in there. It was like 100 million degrees in there. With
Nice.
no heat or no air conditioning, and like, so I'm like, how you like just feel like almost guilty. I'm like, I'm the only one in here. It's just this one guy running this shop. He's sweating his ass off, and you're like, well, no one's coming in, and I'm just like, I gotta buy something. And they didn't really have much, but they had this crispy, perfectly clean copy of Deus Ex of Invisible War on the original Xbox, and it's got one of those like foil shiny covers. So I was like, I'll snag this one. That's at least a famous series.
Wow, I didn't realize that's only exclusive to Xbox.
I know. I did a little looking into it. I was like, have they remade this or have they re-released this? And I was like, no, it looks
What in
like
the
it's
world?
only on this system.
I do have it on Steam for what it's worth.
Invisible War?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's on PC.
Oh.
Yeah. But the only
Okay.
console is original
Only
Xbox.
like physical version or whatever, yeah.
But yeah, I picked
But
up
yeah.
like all the Deus Ex because I was like, I should have these, but I've not played any of them.
Oh, for sure.
They're games that like I feel like I like them in principle. Like I feel like if I played them, I'd probably be like, this isn't for me.
Yeah.
But I like whenever I hear people talk about them on a podcast, I'm like, man, that sounds awesome. I want to check that out. But I kind of know deep down. I watched Steve or DJ play one of them on PS3, and it looked pretty cool, actually. I just thought it was weird. It was like first person most of the time, but then you would like, at once in a while, it would just like go into third person when you'd like be up against a wall or something. Like it was a weird, the presentation of that game was just kind of weird.
Reminds me, there's that Wii U special feature version of that next Deus Ex game that had come out close to the launch of the Wii U.
What?
I totally forgot about that.
Yeah, Human Revolution.
That's supposed to be a pretty good one too.
Yeah.
I don't know about the Wii U version, but I keep seeing a few of those where I'm like, I forgot they made this like Mass Effect 3 special Wii U edition. And I forgot they made like the Batman Armored Edition, or even that Ninja Gaiden 3. I kind of just bought it because I was like, I got to do the whole buy 5 get 1 free or buy 4 get 1 3 thing. So I got to might as well buy one more random Wii U game to add to the collection.
All right, so I do also have Human Revolution, the director's cut.
There you go. That's the one.
The only one I've heard negative things about is Mankind
Divided. Yep,
don't
that's
really
what.
like that one. Yeah.
Got him.
Which is the one I keep almost buying when I'm at the store. I'm like, oh man, this is like $5, and then I'm like, oh wait, that's not Human Revolution. That's the wrong one. But I'm curious about those games.
Mm-hmm.
I've actually been on that Classic Gaming podcast. Somebody I think wrote in an email or something and suggested this. Like there was some game that one of them was considering playing, and somebody wrote in. They're like, yeah, you could play it, but you'd probably have more fun like just putting a let's play on of the game so you can experience it, and then actually playing a game while you watch it that you like. And I was like, you know what? That's a fucking great idea. Like for like an RPG or something where I'm like, I'm never gonna play, Final Fantasy 6, but I just kind of want to, or 3 or whatever version you want to call it. But like, these classics, like I never like even just breeze, like skim through it just to be like, kind of just want to see instead of putting on a random podcast that I don't care about in the background. Or some random TV show. That's like,
fair.
I don't know. That's kind of interesting.
That's legitimately how I've like quote unquote experienced every Sonic game from Run Buttons. Let's play 20 years of Sonic. Like, well, just be
not a bad way to go.
I'm literally now still like just playing like Fantasy Life I while I'm like listening to them do it again. Like.
Yeah,
especially for
that's
any
awesome.
Sonic game made on or after about 1999.
Oh, I'm listening to the Sonic 06 section, and it is dark days.
Yeah, though that game I remember just being so jank. I remember there being like a demo that would be at like Best Buy or wherever, like at the kiosks that you could play, or maybe it was just the actual game. I just like assumed it was a demo because it was so janky. But was that how early was that in the actual 360?
Well, when did the 360
like
come out?
Early release
Because Sonic 06 came out in 2006.
November 2005 for 360.
I was gonna say it had to be because I think it was Madden 06 was that first Madden game on the 360 with Donovan McNabb's sweaty face all over the commercials.
You could see the sweat. Look at the graphics.
I do love that even in that Madden documentary I watched on or series or whatever it was, they really like just flat out admitted that game was garbage. So I was like, hey, at least they know that they like
a lot of those,
and exactly why. We just went way too hard into the presentation. And did not care about the gameplay.
A lot of those launch 360 games are a little rough. I'll say that
little cameo.
Yeah, cameo elements of power,
elements.
And same with that Perfect Dark Zero. I was so excited because I love Perfect Dark, and that was not it.
Yeah,
it's unfortunate.
Ugh.
Oh,
yeah, not so hot.
Kevin, Jesus, what's wrong? Kevin,
like my dad, he always calls me my brother's name. Brian, like, come on, Dad.
Is Perfect Dark on the Switch Online? Because I know you were playing Jet Force Gemini.
It is. It's on the Switch Mature Online. Like there's a N64 Mature download.
You gotta be kidding me.
That has like 3 games on it. I think it's like Perfect Dark, Turok, and like one other game.
Contra's Bad Fur Day.
Oh yeah, that would make sense actually if that was.
I don't think they have.
I don't think they
have that one. I was watching a random video, or maybe it was on a podcast, but there was some, I don't know what I was listening, but they were talking about this PS1 series of games or whatever, and they're like, oh yeah, and you could trace that all the way back to Winback on the N64 is where this like control scheme started, and I was like, oh, let's go.
Best multiplayer game of all time, Winback.
That's cool.
It was
kind
of
a cool game.
I'm so glad that was on the Switch Online service because I never would have fucking played that game.
And I'm glad they added it early enough. I think it was one of the first games they added because like if it would have been like later on, I would have probably never checked it out because sometimes they add these games. You're like, why the fuck are they adding this like pool game to the Super Nintendo?
So they can say they released something this week.
How many millions of games are there? Like, it makes me mad that someone even bothered to spend time to like dig up the ROM or do whatever they had to do.
They didn't spend that.
I mean, that's not that there's no effort in like having a ROM available, and
but there's got to be some they have to do some work.
They had to
like,
drag a file over to a folder and then mark public.
And then
literally
make the multiplayer.
Do the control swapping until Switch 2 on some of that shit, you know?
Yeah, but like the multiplayer, like it works online. Although that might just be through like the separate like app itself. Like
they probably have a standard like control scheme, like template,
like almost like plug
an emulator,
multiplayer template that they just again drag and drop.
Yeah.
Yes.
God, I need to go back to Elden Ring.
Didn't that DLC just drop or is going to drop? One of the two?
The original DLC.
I didn't either.
Yeah.
I didn't either.
I'm like,
yeah, you guys kind of, I don't want to say fell off that game because you guys were going ham, but I thought for a minute, I was like, man, I don't know if we're ever going to talk about another game on the podcast.
Yeah.
It seemed like you guys were really going to like polish every inch of that game off for a minute.
Yeah, we did for the first half, and then it just got hard. And then it's so hard to push past into the second half. Like,
and it's got to be like the only thing that you're doing so you can continue the grind and try to make it a little easier for yourself and find the little MacGuffins around the edges to try and just not have it be so painful.
Yeah, and keep those reflexes sharp. You know, keep like the timings down. And everything.
Big time.
Yeah,
I don't even think I got back to the point where I had on my, because I originally was playing it on PS4, on DJ's PS4, and then I eventually bought it on Steam Deck. And I didn't even get back to the point where I left off on my on the PS4 file. I was like, "Oof, this is hard. This game is so hard."
It is. It's kind of.
I'm a little baby.
No, it's just really, really difficult.